Good morning. It's Thursday morning. Today we're in Matthew 6, beginning at verse 43, loving our enemies. Jesus says, "You've heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and the good, and makes rain fall on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? You therefore must be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect." Love your enemies. That's a tough one. In this country of ours today, everyone's got enemies. Republicans hate Democrats, socialists. And Democrats hate Republicans, QAnons. And you see the candidates and the politicians moving farther and farther to the right or to the left simply in order to distinguish themselves from the other. And so we have kind of an other-based politics and lots of enemies. And Jesus says, don't act like that. It's exactly that love your friends and hate your enemies that promoted the tribalism, helped Israel to survive. We are different from the Edomites and the Moabites and all the other ites around us. And so, because we're different, we are a collectivity here that can survive because we love each other. They didn't really love each other that much in ancient Israel, but that's kind of the way the thinking goes. And Jesus comes along and says, "Oh, no, love everybody. Love your enemies." I remember once, about 1981 or so, when I happened to hear a woman say, "Oh, I pray for the Russians all the time. I love Russia." Now, she was a seminarian and a mother who lived in the Philadelphia suburbs in New Jersey. She wasn't a particular, Russian person, but she said, love your enemies. And I love my enemies. I love the Russians. Struck me, wow, yeah, that's how we should all be. That's what we should be doing. That's what God calls us to do. And so Jesus points out that, the rain falls on everybody and the sun shines on everybody, and we should love everybody. If you only love the people that love you, if you only hang around with people who believe the same things as you do, if you won't entertain other positions or look at what other people believe, coolly and calmly, then you're missing a great deal of life. And if we won't, entertain the other side, then we're just reinforcing our own prejudices. And that's an issue that I think all of us need to look at. If you only watch one news channel, you're going to get their spin on everything, and you're never going to consider the other side of it. And that's something that we ought to do. Jesus says, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. And no one can be perfect, first of all. And no one can do that. And he's not calling us to do that. That runs exactly counter to the gospel. He is kind of joking, maybe a little bit, kind of teasing him. You got to be perfect, like God is perfect. Well, okay. And you'll get there only by the grace of God. And so we need to ask God for the grace to love even our enemies, who in this case might be that Democrat or that Trumper down the street. Or it might be those Muslim people that have moved into the neighborhood. Or it might be the people who live in Syria or Afghanistan or someplace in the South Pacific who just want to live their lives. And we just need to learn how to let them. So love your enemies. There's quite a task for today. See you tomorrow.